allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have several minutes to approve. Did everybody get a chance to look through all of them?
I move we approve the council meeting minutes of August 12th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Greg
Pass it.
Brewer,
Oh, we do have to do a roll call. I'm
Yes.
sorry, guys. We have to do a roll call.
sorry, Greg Brewer,
Aye.
Brian Burney,
Aye.
Chad Gooding,
Aye.
Scott Jones,
Aye.
John Price.
Aye.
All right, that passes 5-0.
I move we approve the executive session minutes of August 26th, 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Oh, roll call, please. I'm sorry.
Greg Brewer,
Aye.
Brian Burney,
Aye.
Chad Gooding,
Aye.
Scott Jones,
Aye.
John Price.
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
I move we approve the work session minutes of August 26th, 2025.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Aye.
Brian Burney,
Aye.
Chad Gooding,
Aye.
Scott Jones,
Aye.
John Price.
Aye.
Okay. This time we'll take any public comments for any non-agenda items. Nobody? Okay. Parks Board.
The Parks Board met last night. We received updates on a number of events. The recent movie had been canceled multiple times due to weather, but somewhere around maybe 100 showed up for the movie, but it was way less popular than the concert. I think the band was Tastes Like Chicken, which was very well attended. I recently attended a concert elsewhere at a Parks event, and the mayor introduced the band in the beginning and danced at the end. Now, we don't have a mayor, but we have Tim and Greg. I suppose if we have a concert, they need to be present and dancing at the end, just saying. The next Cars and Coffee is this Sunday, and the last one will be, I think, October 5th. We said before the 5K had been successful. We had around 159 runners, and were able to pass a motion at the Parks Board last night to put $3,023.60 into the Parks Legacy Fund, which is where any profit, if you will, from the 5K goes. Party in the Park was very well attended. Parking was maxed out again this year. Vendors were slightly more rigorously selected to sort of decongest the area, and that seemed to have worked. We have a rugby camp scheduled for September 22nd to 25th with no current registrants. Trunk or treat, we had around 1,500 attend last year. It'll be at Outlook again this year, I think the last Sunday in October. We went over the final document for the youth sports park and looked at the cloverleaf design of the ball fields and discussed where the refreshment stand would be located. Looks like it'd be the center of the cloverleaf diamonds. Onto the community center, which is moving really fast. Went through it last night with Parks Director Stan Wilson, and the drywall is up, electrical conduits are in, trenches are dug for sewer lines. It's all framed up. It's, I'd say, weeks ahead of schedule. So hopefully sometime towards the end of the year we might get in there. I think it's going to be very heavily used. The contractor, I think, is Charles Brandt, and they're working very well as this contractor for the community center and also the town hall. The shared parking arrangement with United Methodist Church is coming to fruition. They have more of a use for that parking area they have on weekends than we do, and we have more of a use during the week than they do, so that kind of is symbiotic, if you will. And I think we're coming along with funding to improve the parking. So that was pretty much it for the Parks Board.
Okay. Redevelopment Commission.
There was no meeting this month.
Did not meet.
Vernon Township Fire Committee.
We did not meet.
Okay. And Metropolitan Police Board and Public Works also did not meet this month. Architectural Review.
Architectural Review Committee met on August 19th and just had 2 items of business. One was Integrity Design's request for approval of architectural design for Lot 5 of the shops at Brookside Villages. And we discussed that some, and the petitioner is very willing to make it sort of similar in appearance and synergistic with the Leo's, which is already there, especially regarding colors and doors and windows. So we think that'll be a nice looking arrangement, and we approved it with those modifications. We also considered Kimberly Horn's request for approval of architectural design for the spec building on Lot 2 in the McCordsville Commerce Center. And we discussed with them changing some of the exterior from concrete to some more modern looking metal panels, which we think will look nice, and approved it with that modification.
Okay. And Planning Commission.
Yeah, the Planning Commission met on August 19th. It was probably set a record for the shortest meeting. I think we were there for 12 whole minutes. There were 2 agenda items, both of them dealing with the 24-inch masonry corners, and they're on the agenda later today.
McCord Square Review Committee. Did not meet. Okay. Does anybody have any questions regarding the consent agenda?
We removed the design contract for intersection improvements.
Yes, it's A on new business now.
So, I'm sorry.
It's A on new business now.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Burney,
Aye.
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Aye.
John Price.
Yay.
Passes 5-0. Old business. Ordinance 061025. No. So ordinance amending chapter 32 and to include a waiver of fees.
This
And this
is-
is a second reading.
Your second reading will need a public hearing. This was passed back in June, and we just kept missing putting in the notice to the paper, so that's why it's coming back so late.
Okay. If you guys don't have any comments, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Does
I'm
anybody-
fine.
I will close the public hearing.
I move we approve ordinance 061025.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Burney,
Yay.
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yeah.
John Price.
Yay.
Next, we'll go to ordinance 081225F. We will have to have a public hearing. This is additional appropriations of fund for general and MVH.
Nothing has changed from first reading.
Any discussion from you guys? Okay, I'll go ahead and open the public hearing if anybody would like to speak. Okay, I will close the public hearing.
I move we approve ordinance 081225F.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Burney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
That passes 5-0. Okay, next we'll have a public hearing is for ordinance 081225E. This is imposing a will and excise tax for creating funds for each. Any discussion from? Am I out of order, Tim? Oh, okay.
So we're doing this in order to be able to qualify for some community crossing paving grants, correct?
Yeah, part of the changes in the state legislature this year required, restructured how community crossing grants were distributed. So there's a portion that's distributed similar to the current formula, and there's an additional amount that will go from this excess dollars, if you will, to Indianapolis. And then at the end of that, there's an additional pool of funds that will be distributed, but only if your community has a wheel and excise tax in place at that time. So there'll be a formula based on your lane miles, and you'll get an additional distribution. I believe it's an automatic distribution on the remainder of the CCMG funds if you have this in place. So it was a requirement by the state if you wanted to access those funds. And we believe it's worthwhile to be able to access additional road dollars anytime you can get them.
And how much did we receive last year? Or this year, I should say.
Well, this is a new source of funds, so we didn't receive any.
Well, CCMG.
Oh, you're asking for the grant that we
Yeah.
received? We actually received near the max, so it's near the 1.5 million. I think it was like 1,360,000, somewhere in that neighborhood of the eligible funds.
And that money paved Bay Creek and 500 West.
Yeah, that was my next question. And what did we spend the money on?
We based our selection on our pavement ratings. So we paved a group of roads in Bay Creek and Emerald Springs and Bay Creek East, along with 500 West. So that was all, again, based on pavement ratings. It was roads that were rated 6 or lower.
And we did new ratings this year, correct?
No,
last year?
we're in the odd year, so we don't
So
do
we did them
ratings.
last year. We re-rated all our roads. We did a digital time. Typically, it was Mark going out and grading every road. This time, it was a digital process that we used.
And this is matching grant, right?
It is matching. They've changed with the new structure. It was 75-25, where the town pays 25%. The new structure is 80-20. So we get a little more advantage with that.
Is that population banded like the other was previously?
It is still population, so we are in the category that 80-20 up until the next census. We've already crossed the population limit for it, so when we hit the 2030 census, once that's certified, we'll drop down to 50-50 grant.
Guess we don't want to have a special census.
There was discussion on that, and that was one of the cons, definitely.
Do you have to open up a public hearing for this right now? So at this time, if anyone wants to speak for or against imposing a well tax and excise tax. Okay, close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 081225E.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Nay.
Brian Burney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
That passes 4-1. Next will be ordinance 081225C.
Mark Leach with representing Fisher Homes tonight for the presentation of this, and I'll free to. Thank you. Hi. Okay. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Mark Leach. I'm a senior land use planner with Faegre Drinker with offices at 600 East 96th Street in Indianapolis. As Ryan mentioned, here representing Grand Communities, Fisher Homes for their proposed PUD ordinance. This request would allow for the rezoning of approximately 75 acres to the Lane Farms at Hampton Walk PUD. Here with me this evening are Curtis Mucci, Planning and Entitlements Manager with Grand Communities, Amanda Deerdorf, Land Acquisition Manager with Fisher Homes, and also Grant Shortridge, our engineer with Kimley Horn. We'd like to start just by thanking Ryan and Mark, Holly, and Tim for working alongside with us to get this project to where it is today. Slide 3, Ryan. The property is located directly south of Hampton Walk. It's also being built by Fisher Homes currently, and this is meant to be a continuation of that neighborhood with 2 street connection points between them. The architecture in this neighborhood will be very similar to what's currently being constructed in Hampton Walk. Keep it on slide 3 for now, I guess. I'll kind of walk through each of the slides, but we have been working with Ryan and the town staff since prior to filing. And in those initial conversations, it was agreed that it was in everyone's best interest to create a new separate PUD instead of amending the original Hampton Walk PUD, as there's been some updates in town requirements and preferences since the original approval back in April of 2022. There's also some product differences now, such as not having townhomes in this current PUD. This neighborhood will have a mixture of housing types consisting of approximately 181 homes, single-family homes in 4 sub-areas, max density of 2.5 units an acre, and site development work would begin later this year if it's approved. Slide 4, if you want to switch there, thank you. As you can see the location of the property within the town and adjacent to Hampton Walk. If you want to flip to the next slide, the neighborhood's concept plan is shown overlaid on an aerial on slide 5, and then slide 6 shows the 4 planned sub-areas. I'll walk through those real quick. Sub-area A, which is the Maple Street collection. Thank you, Ryan. It's southwest corner. Then sub-area B, the Designer 40 collection, southeast corner, and that's similar to the patio collection in Hampton Walk. Sub-area C, the Designer collection, northwest corner nearest to Hampton Walk, and then sub-area D, which is the Masterpiece collection, the largest, most expensive homes. Those would be on the east side along County Road 600 West. Slides 7 through 10, we do kind of a breakdown of the different sub-areas. There's some illustrative elevations of each. In the PUD ordinance itself, Ryan and I just confirmed today all the elevations in the PUD were approved by the ARC in May and July of this year, earlier this year. And so there's 40 total models and 235 elevations that were approved by ARC. And the architectural exhibits and also the standards that are found in the PUD were also reviewed by ARC and approved. We can skip to slide 11, I think. Those are all shown. So slide 11 shows the neighborhood will have approximately 3 miles of public sidewalk and 2 miles of paths throughout. Slide 12 has our high impact lots shown here. Based on conversations with Ryan, this slide shows which lots will have high impact architecture and landscaping. And those requirements are written into our PUD ordinance as well. Slides 13 and 14, both of those show developed open spaces, illustrative open space. They show our open space and trail networks that will be provided for the residents. Significant landscaping will also be included in the buffer areas and common spaces to enhance the passive recreation and add to the existing character and natural beauty. It's written into the PUD that we'll have a minimum of 22 acres of open space, which equates to about 29% of the property. Slide 15 is just an entry monument sign. They'll match what has previously been approved for Hampton Walk. We did send out 27 public notice mailings, and we held a neighbor meeting on Wednesday, June 11th. No neighbors attended that meeting, just the property owner, Mr. Lane. On July 15th, the Plan Commission gave this petition a unanimous favorable recommendation, 6-0, with some contingencies, but we've updated and addressed those in our revised PUD ordinance. Additionally, since the last Plan Commission meeting, we have met with the town in late August and early September to discuss road and intersection improvements and road impact credit fees, or fee credits. We were looking for some defined hard costs to some of the improvements needed in the area, which were not readily available at the time, and we ended up coming to an agreement with Tim and staff that made the most sense to pay our impact fees on a lot-by-lot basis, for the most part, in a executed credit agreement for the installation of an eastbound left turn lane on County Road 650 North, where it intersects with County Road 600 West. With that, I don't know, Ryan, you might want to flip back to maybe page 6 just in case there's any questions. But with that, our team is happy to answer any questions, and we respectfully request your favorable approval of our rezoning request. And thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Any questions from you guys?
No, we saw it at the planning commission.
Yep. Dr. Bernie?
Could you, I think you've been over it before, but could you refresh our memory regarding sort of the order of construction as far as putting turn lane, pulling utilities, doing perimeter landscaping, pulling first building permits, estimated time for last building permit, time frame on top coating the roads,
I might have Curtis or
kind of that sort of thing.
sure.
I realize you don't know all the answers to that, but kind of what's your best guess?
Curtis Musey here with Grand Communities Fisher Homes. I'll try to answer all the questions. Feel free to throw more at me while I'm up here. In terms of phasing this, we will build each sub area essentially at the same time. So we'll have 4 smaller sections that will make up section 1. We will build that. We could start as soon as 6 to 8 months from now in terms of site work. This would be full build out, approximately 3 years of inventory. Regarding the utilities, we would bring those just primarily through Hampton Walk and along our road frontages as we progress further into the site. With the landscape buffers, we would construct those as each section adjacent to that comes online.
So you're not anticipating any peripheral public road closures or any utilities coming in?
Not at this point in time, no.
And you'll mark your passing blister zone, I guess, as a road construction area when the time comes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Bernie, couple points for you as first to answer some of your questions. There is a left turn improvement on 650 North, and that would be tied into the entrance that they would construct on 650, so those would happen at the same time. And then you also asked about when they would top coat the roads. That's actually set by ordinance, so they have to do that at 80% build out or 3 years for each individual section, whichever comes first. Yep.
I just don't like it when the things like the passing blisters are excavated in the fall and then the asphalt plant closes and then they're just left as a fall-off cliff in the fall, and we have to, get the traffic cones placed and worry about rollovers. It looks like they're not going to really start till the spring.
No other discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 081225C.
Second?
Do we still have Greg with us?
Yeah, he's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Burney,
Yay.
Chad Gooding,
yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
That passes
Thank-
5-0.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, new business. Design contract for intersection improvements at 600 in Windsor.
Yeah. This is the design contract for a proposed traffic signal at the intersection of Windsor and 600 West. This was one of the discussion points that we had that was tied with Hampton Walk's development. Part of their PUD required a pedestrian crossing, and so through discussion on that, we've kind of discussed the best location for it. So this study would, or I shouldn't say study, this contract has two parts to it. Initial part is a warrant analysis to confirm that a traffic signal is warranted at that intersection, and the second part is the design for that signal. I will point out to the council too, once the town's completed a warrant analysis, it does obligate the town to install the traffic signal if it is warranted. It's a traffic safety issue. If we don't install it and it's warranted, that creates a liability to the town.
And we do have it in the 2026 budget.
Well, I asked for this to be pulled from the consent agenda because I wanted to discuss the interplay of the school, which is really the fourth side of this crossing. We have two legs, which are Mount Comfort Road, with lanes going north and south. And then we have the Hampton Walk Windsor arm, which is the west leg. But Hampton Walk is not yet built out, and we don't know what traffic it will generate for sure when it's built out, although that can be estimated, I agree. The school is the east leg. So when the warrant study is done, is that going to be at peak school hours, or is it going to be in summer vacation when the school is closed? It does make a difference, and I realize it's for Hampton Walk per the PUD and not the school, but the school traffic will make a huge impact on whether or not a signal is warranted. And if a signal is warranted, I still want to exert local control over it so that that signal, if it's not warranted with the three-leg intersection, which would be Windsor and Mount Comfort Road, why do we need it to hold up traffic flow on Mount Comfort Road if there's school vacation or if the school traffic zone lights are not flashing? So it's a three-way intersection when the school's not having traffic or a need for traffic control, and we don't know what that third leg at Hampton Walk is even going to be yet. So when is the warrant study going to be done? Is it going to be done after Hampton Walk is built out, or is it going to be done now before we know?
It'll be done now. And I will point out that Windsor Drive does also connect into Gateway Crossing.
Right.
So we already get some traffic through that leg already, and it will be done. That warrant analysis will occur here in the next couple months after this authorization. It's not going to delay, so it will happen while school is in session, and the warrant analysis will take into account. It'll look at the There's like 8 different warrants that you look at when you evaluate for a signal. So it will evaluate each of those. My expectation is it will probably meet warrants, but we'll have to see. It's one of those, it's going to be based on the numbers. It's going to be counts, traffic counts that are going to justify it.
I understand, but can we get an analysis of what it is when the school is not open, for instance, in summer vacation? In that situation, if it's not warranted, can we just turn it to flashing yellow or off in the summer if it's not needed? We've got 55 feet of pavement there to move traffic.
I will point out too that the intent with this is that we will give the predominant amount of green time for the signal will be to 600 West.
I like that.
It'll probably be timed very similar to what the 2nd Street signal is. If you've driven through that, it really only trips when it's gets an indication that there's vehicles waiting at, which in this case would be either
I understand,
Windsor
and I
or
get that.
the
The
school.
pedestrian path there, however, only allows a pedestrian to cross halfway across the street before the light changes. So we still have to fix that. And since there's a
I went
crosswalk
across
here.
there, I didn't have any issues with it.
Well, when I walked across, the light changed when I was halfway. Maybe I'm a slow walker.
The timings are set, there's a specific timing allowed for pedestrians to cross. It's a short stretch across 600 West at 2nd Street. This one is significantly
We're going to have an
longer.
island, right? A safety island.
Yeah, that is part of this. We haven't
refuge.
obviously designed it, but we have planned a traffic refuge island on this.
That was at the request of the schools.
Yeah, the kids with short legs that haven't grown yet can only make it halfway, and then they have to rest.
Any other discussion, or? Not, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the traffic signal
Second.
for design contract for the intersection improvements. I mean,
This been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
yay.
Brian Burney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
Okay, that passes 5-0. Next is ordinance 090925, an ordinance establishing the 2026 budget for the town of McCordsville. This will be a first reading, and we will also have a public hearing.
Yes. And Mike Reuter will be presenting for us. Is this ours?
So you could open the public hearing after my comments if you want, and then
Fair enough,
we can go from there. There is no action required of the council this evening on the budget. The actual adoption date's been advertised for October 21st, in which you'll have to pass the budget. So there's plenty of time between now and then if you have follow-up questions. One thing that we will be asking you to approve this evening is a resolution to appeal for the 3-year growth factor, both for the town and the library. Yeah, you did this last year. The appeal deadline is October 21st, and that is when you're meeting to adopt your budget, and we didn't want to make it too close to have it on the same day and have to get it in that night. So we're asking you for that consideration. We'll talk about that a little more later. I apologize, I sent a fiscal plan out this morning. I was hopeful that we would have our certified assessed valuation from the county before I presented the fiscal plan. I waited as long as I could, but we did not get that. So there is a missing component in the plan, and although I don't know that it's going to affect any of your decisions, but it is something that's important as it relates to the tax rate, and we will obviously follow up with you on that when that happens. So the fiscal plan has been updated for the first 6 months, actual revenues, then I've reforecast the last half, and then on into the future, the next 3 years. We do have our certified lit, our local option income tax amount for 2026. We have our certified maximum levy, but again, we don't have the certified assessed valuation. And I'm going to start off on page 13, Tim. On the assessed valuation, I've used an assumption here. Oops, I'm sorry, Tim. When I say 13, it'll be page 15 PDF. Right there. Page 13, that bottom left corner here. So here's some history of our assessed valuation going back the last few years, which has been pretty substantial. I'm using an assumption of 12.5%. It's lower this year. Part of Senate Bill 1 that was passed this last legislative session allows the supplemental homestead to increase from 37.5% to 40%. So homeowners are going to see a little more relief on that supplemental deduction. There has also been a new deduction passed for 2% rental property in that they will now get a 6% deduction starting in 2026. So some of the assessed valuation growth that we have seen is going to be offset by these additional deductions. And it will continue even on a more aggressive schedule going forward. And going into 2027, I'm using a much lower number. In 2027, we're also going to see the loss of any business personal property that's $2 million or less. So any business that has a return of $2 million or less will no longer have to file a return. In addition to that, new property put in place will now also, if it is over $2 million, any new property put in place after that date can be depreciated all the way down to 0, where before it was only 30%. Now you don't have a lot of farm ground in the town limits, but farm ground was also lowered in the sense that they lowered what's called the capitalization rate, and that lowered the assessment process, and that actually was 25 pay 26, and they will also be getting now a new deduction of 6%. Rental property and farm ground will now start at 6% in 26, and by 2031 they will be getting 33% deduction. For homeowners, right now we're at 37.5%. We go to 40 next year, not a big leap, but by 2031 that deduction is going to be 66.7%. So there's going to be a large erosion of the tax base with this additional deduction going forward. To use some simple math on that is if you have a $300,000 house, you'll be paying on $100,000 assessed valuation. So that's a substantial decrease in the assessment for those homes going forward. But again, I don't have 2026. We'll get that information out to you as soon as possible. Another really important number on this page is right here, that 1.221. That is what your assessed valuation has grown the last 3 years, and that is what is used to calculate the 3-year growth factor. That has to be at least 2% greater than what the state is growing, and you're well above that. The state average this year is 1.0991, and so you're well beyond that. So mathematically, you qualify for the growth appeal. Tim, if you would go on down a couple pages here. Yeah, stop right here. This is what's called the 6-year non-farm personal income factor, and this has been used for a number of years now to calculate how much property tax will be allowed each year going forward, not just for towns, but for cities, towns, counties, townships, libraries, school operations fund. This factor had been used for a number of years, but it had grown too rapidly, and so legislators began to override the formula and just say, hey, we're not going to let it grow as fast as the incomes of the average of the state. One that sticks out is back here in 2021 when it grew 10.7%. That was the year, if you recall, of the pandemic, and there was a lot of federal money pushed out, and it kind of drove that number up that year. So, but nevertheless, what they have done, Tim, if you'd go on down one more page, I believe, yeah. right there. What they have done, and by technicality, we're going to qualify for the growth appeal one more year. In Senate Bill 1, they eliminated the growth factor appeal going forward. And in my opinion, that's bad policy. Why would you penalize your very growing communities? But nevertheless, they did do that. But due to a technicality, growth appeals are being allowed one more year. The DLGF has to certify budgets before December 31st of a given year, and Senate Bill 1 takes effect January 1 of 26. So we qualify by that one day. But I can tell you that the appeal form has been put out from the DLGF of how you qualify. We will mathematically qualify, but I can tell you that they know the intent was to eliminate them, and it is going to be, I believe, really difficult to get growth appeals this year. Now, I think you, as such a rapid growing community, have a better chance than most that might be just a little bit over it to qualify for that. But just know, I've always said this in my budget comments, it's always a risk. An appeal is not a guarantee. It is a risk when we go there. Now, everything we've done this year is design the budget to tie up cash, because one of the things it says in there, it says you have to prove you can't operate the next ensuing year without it. And so you have so many things that need, in terms of capital projects that need to be done with the growth that's going on. It wouldn't take long to spend all the cash, but we have designed the budget this year differently than we have in the past. Normally we're trying to present a balanced budget to you. In this case, we're trying to present an unbalanced budget to you to create the need for this appeal. This appeal this year, let me start off back up here. The state overrode that 6-year non-farm personal income factor, even though it's producing a 6% number. For the last 3 years now, they just said 4%. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what that factor calculates. Now it goes back to that calculation in code right now, back in 27. But this year, this would be our largest year yet to qualify for this appeal. And in the sense that would be additional property tax. We have appealed and qualified for the last several years, but this year is even more important because it's so large, and then it goes away thereafter. I hope they have a change in their policy, but right now that's the way it stands. So this is really important to us, not just from the property tax side, but I'm going to show you in a little bit how our percentage of the local option income tax pie has grown, because right now lit is distributed based on property tax. And so it's based mostly on this calculation. And so it's really important not just to get this, because it also raises your piece of the lit pie within the county. So let's see, Tim, I'm going to go to page 36. I won't spend a lot of time, but it'll be 38, Tim, on your PDF. Right there. Oops, one page back, right there. So countywide, this was a very positive number. I was very happy to see this. Countywide, the lit collections were up 11.7%. That's one of the strongest I've seen around. And so I was very happy to see that number. But even more importantly, not only did the county pie go up, your portion went up. So Tim, if you would go to page 28. Be page 30, I guess, on the PDF. Right there. Let's see. Yeah, right there. So here's McCordsville last year this is 2025. You were 9.27% of the shares. If you go down one more page, Tim, you can see now in 26 that has grown to 9.92. So again, you're getting the pie growing, but you're also getting a bigger piece of the pie. That only doesn't just apply to the shares. It also applies to public safety and the edit. So page 34, you'll see that in 25, your public shares portion was 12.67%, and now in 26, it's gone to 13.58%. And the edit shares have gone from 13.44 to 13.79. So that's the reason that appeal is not just important from the perspective of property tax, it's important to how lit is allocated. Now, again, part of Senate Bill 1, they have done some major restructuring with local option income tax going forward. And you, the town council, will be responsible for adopting your own local option income tax rate. You will have to make that decision sometime between July 1, 2027 and October 1st, 2027 for an effective date of 2028. So right now, for 26 and 27, we're going to operate under the old model, but in 28, right now, you'll be responsible for adopting your own rate. Now, this is not my term, but it's been dubbed eat what you kill. In other words, you put the rate out there, and whatever's collected then within the town will be yours. It won't be shared with anyone. You're not sharing your money with it. So as the community grows, as income grows, it will come back to you directly. There'll be no more sharing of that. But I will tell you, you'll probably see a lot of conversation about local option income tax again this next session, because I don't feel like they have all the I's and the T's figured out of how this actually works yet. So I've assumed for 28, we don't have to worry about that right now, that you will adopt a rate, something similar to what you're collecting now. I don't know what that rate will be. We don't even know what the income base is just for McCordsville yet. But just know that's coming to you. It won't even be part of your next year budget process. It'll be part of the following year budget process, unless it gets delayed. But again, that's a substantial change in Senate Bill 1. Tim, let's go to page 1. I'll just kind of run through the finances real quick, and then you can open it up for a public comment. I'm going to go to page 1, rainy day. This is just for your information. We have about $3.7 million in the rainy day fund. That's a very strong cash balance. And I hope the DLGF doesn't penalize us for that, but nevertheless, we do have a strong cash balance in this fund. Page 2, Tim. This is the general fund. Starting up here, you see a new negative line here. It is what's called property tax credit. Another part of Senate Bill 1 was, in addition to these higher deductions, homeowners will get up to a 10% credit with a maximum of $300. This is different than the 1% cap that exists for homeowners right now. That's called circuit breaker. You get to 1%, you stop paying. This is a credit applied after the tax bill is computed. So going back to that $300,000 home, the maximum that $300,000 home pays is $3,000, but that $3,000 will now have a $300 deduction, and now they will only be paying $2,700 as a result of this credit. This is a true loss of revenue. Schools don't have a way to make this up. You technically, because you have control of your own lit rate going forward, when you get ready to establish the rate, you could technically make that up if you wanted to adopt a little higher rate to capture that. But right now, that goes into effect 2026 and 27, and there's no way to make it up, so it is a true loss. So I didn't combine it with the circuit breaker loss because it forecasts differently. It doesn't trend the same way. And so this is the beginning of that. Now this is what will look strange to you is we have budgeted all of the cash in the general fund. And not that we don't have projects, we do have projects. We could spend all of it, but it's somewhat in a design to check that mark of saying we can't operate the ensuing year without it. So that's one of the reasons. Now we may not at the end of the day end up spending all this year's budget or next year's budget, but right now on paper we have the cash tied up and could demonstrate the need for it. We've had a considerable amount of cash in this fund. It's almost the system is designed to penalize you for being conservative, and we have to reverse that thinking at least for one more year to get this appeal over the finish line. Now we will. This budget would not continue at this level. We couldn't afford this budget, and what would happen is we'd simply come back and cut these capital line items back out of it to get it back in balance going forward. So it looks a little disturbing, that trend showing a structural deficit, but that could be corrected pretty easily in the following year. Next page, Tim. This is another place that looks a little strange. Last year when we did the growth appeal, we were trying not to impact the overall tax rate by that levy increase. And we're proposing the same strategy for next year, in that we would actually use edit dollars. We want the appeal but we want the appeal, but we don't want the tax rate increase. So what we would do is, we've actually budgeted $500,000, up to $500,000 for this transfer. This number will depend on what the assessed valuation comes in at. So the number I don't have in here is the assessed valuation. This could go up or could go down depending on what the assessed valuation does. I'm hoping it actually goes down and we don't have to even use that much edit money. But this is our debt fund, and it only pays for your GO bond and your park bond. And in 2028, those two bonds are going to be paid off. And you're going to need to be thinking about issuing bonds at the end of 26 to keep that debt levy. They won't allow you the same debt levy going forward unless you have those bond payments in place. So you're going to need to start thinking about that next year. And as we
Don't worry, we're already thinking about it.
yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of things for that.
There's plenty of parks to build.
Yeah. But what you see here is we actually needed $700,000 back here in 24. We dropped that to manage the tax rate. But you would see we would drop it again to manage the tax rate. But then next year we'd bring it back up to fund the debt payment, and assuming that you would continue to collect a similar amount that what you have in the past. Tim, next page, please. This is the local road and streets fund. Not much to say here. Just want to point out there's a budget of $271,000. Revenue's about $200,000. It's out of balance about $67,000. Plenty of cash to fund it. No worries here. So if you agree with the budget, you can approve that with no issues. The next page is the MVH fund. This is very similar to the general fund in that we have had cash in this fund. We've been building this cash for projects, and we're tying it up with appropriation. And so the DLGF is actually likely to cut this budget because we won't have enough money to fund it in both places. But again, we're telling the DLGF we have got so many things on our plate to try and deal with in terms of projects that we really do need that money. Also keep in mind these appeals are permanent and they're cumulative. They grow, and that's another reason why they're so important. Next page, Tim. So actually, when you think of MVH, you might think, well, that's a separate fund, separate tax rate. Think of that as being a department in your general fund. And the reason being, it shares the maximum levy. If you raise the levy in MVH, it takes money away from the general fund. If you lower the levy in MVH, it goes back to the general fund. So it's a separate rate and levy, but don't think of them as separate. They are combined, and that's how the DLGF will look at those.
And you get losses on this one as well because it's part of the same fund.
Yeah. So yeah, you can see where I've forecasted some losses in the MVH fund too.
And when we're starting to create a budget, we look at what projects are coming up to see if general, we look at it as like a little dial. Right now it's about 50-50, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
But moving forward, we might need more in general and a little less in road project fund. Now we're starting to diversify our road project with road impact fees and wheel tax and CCMG, so we might be able to dial a little bit more to the general side and a little less to the MVH possibly, depending on
and you
what
can make that
project.
decision each year when you do the budget. It's not something that you make one time and you're stuck with it. You can bounce them around from year to year.
And you can use general fund for road projects too,
Yeah.
so.
Right. So it's a separate fund, but it operates like it's a department within the general fund. The next page is the cumulative park fund. This is a rate-driven fund, so you see it go up. If the assessed valuation goes up, the revenue is going to go up. But believe it or not, this is also part of that maximum levy. If you did away with this fund, you actually don't do away with the revenue. It goes back to the general fund. If you were to raise this rate, it would pull revenue from the general fund. So this is just a way of preserving some of those dollars for a cumulative project in park. So This is a relatively new fund for you. It started in 2023. Again, there's more than sufficient revenue to fund the budget. You can skip the next page, Tim. It's cumulative capital improvement, but very small. The next page is CCD, and this is another relatively new fund. We established it at its maximum each year, and now in 2025 it is capped at 5 cents, 0.05 going forward. So as the assessed valuation grows, so does that revenue. But now with this new deduction coming in, a lot of that is going to be, we're not going to get as much because they're going to raise that homestead deduction. And so this fund will get hurt. It also takes part of that loss for that new property tax credit. So that loss actually gets spread among all funds, including debt. I'm guessing next year they're not going to put it in debt, that they'll make you take the loss in all the other funds like they do circuit breaker. But right now, even the debt fund will take some loss. But that fund right now is producing about $419,000. The budget proposed is $450,000, a little bit out of balance, but more than sufficient cash to cover that. This isn't like an operating fund where you need a large cash balance in this fund, because this tends to be spent on one-time projects versus an operating fund. You have fixed ongoing costs and you have to get from property tax settlement to property tax settlement. This operates a little bit differently. Next page is seated. And this is where I told you we budgeted that $500,000 for buying that debt rate down to kind of manage that tax rate this one more year. You're going to see in a moment, we really have one more year of a rate conversation. And then you're going to see across the state, tax rates increasing rapidly because the AVs are going to go down and the levies are still going to go up, and that's going to cause rate increases, tax rate increases. That's by design. They know that's going to happen. So at that point, we'll be talking more about the levy than we will be about tax rates. But this is, we did budget that in here, and hopefully we don't even have to use the $400,000 I have in the seated fund right now, but we won't know that until we get the AV. Next page is the page public safety. We did a little budget maneuver with this fund this year too, where we moved additional personnel cost into this fund so we could free up some dollars for edit for that bond payment by moving some of the edit into the general fund. So we did a bit of a shell game, but we do not anticipate that personnel budget to remain that high but 1 year, and then we go back down to $300,000. It's out of balance, and how we would balance that is you could eliminate some of the capital outlay that we have in there. So again, we have tied up a large portion of the cash, but we will not continue at that level of expenditure going forward. It's just, again, a one-time budget adjustment, budget strategy, I should say. The next page is the park impact fee. You don't actually budget this. This isn't required by the state, but you are getting some nice dollars built up in here. I mean, we're getting about 1.2 million estimate at this point, and that would leave you with about $3.3 million in park impact fees.
We are starting to buy property, so that'll be going.
It doesn't take long when you're buying property.
Doesn't take long,
but nevertheless, it is really producing some dollars right now. You can see in 23 that was an off year, but last year we were $1 million, and we're estimating about $1.2 million this year. So that is really producing some good things for future parks. The last page, and I'll stop and ask any questions. Last year we had a no rate increase, as I already said, and what we did is we bought down that debt rate, and that's being proposed again this year, is we buy that debt rate down one more year to keep the 0% increase. But then you can see going forward, even without growth appeals, even without the growth appeals, that rate starts to increase after that. So there are a lot of things that are going on. I can only tell you the system was pretty complicated before, and they have doubled down on it. I mean, they have really made it complicated, and it took a long time for people to try and peel it, and we are still peeling it apart, you know, and they are peeling it apart, and they're going to start watching this. I can only tell you you're in a good financial position. There are going to be a lot of communities that hit the wall pretty quickly,
You're not going to be one of them. You're fortunate. There'll be and so I would speculate that as some of those communities hit the wall, there might be some adjustment back, but we'll see. Time will tell. But I think that's the idea of stretching it out between now and 2031 to not dropping in all at once, and they'll see it year by year to see how all this plays out. Ultimately, real quick, and I'll stop. The first version of the Senate bill came out. That was the governor's proposal, and it was steep cuts with no replacement revenue in it. The next one came out. It was the Senate version of property tax reform, and it was really limiting future revenue. It wasn't going back and cutting revenue. Then it went over to the House side, and ultimately Jeff Thompson, Chair of House Ways and Means, had put together this piece of legislation, had spent a lot of time doing it. And ultimately that's what became Senate Bill 1, with one exception. The way they got the governor on board is they put in that new property tax credit. That wasn't enough cut for him. He wanted more, and they put that credit in. So that was really what got it over the finish line. And when it came out, when it came to the end, it came through like a train, and there was no committee hearing on it. It was bam, bam, passed, and went right to the governor's desk and got signed. And so it was a difficult year in the legislature. Started off like a train and finished like a train, in my opinion. So there were I could tell you it was a rough spring for me. People were trying to forecast this, and it was moving so fast that it was impossible to even keep up with. It took months to figure out what they even passed. So that's your budget this evening. It's a lot, I know, in a short period of time. Happy to answer any questions, or if you have questions later, we got a lot of time between now and your adoption as well. Yes, Dr. Bernie.
So we've fiscally managed our community in a conservative fashion and basically held our tax rate flat for almost a decade. And now it's kind of all torn up, and we're sort of being told to pass a new tax, income tax, which we don't really savor, but it's coming from the state. So thanks a lot to the state for that. But I have one particular question. We're switching kind of from a property tax-based flow of tax dollars to run our communities to an income tax-based flow of dollars to run our communities. So isn't it important to get all the property tax dollars under the door before it closes, or through the door before it closes? That brings us to the question of the county hasn't certified our assessed valuation. And one of the reasons is, if you look at their cyclical reassessment, the last couple of weeks I looked at it, they've only done like 38% of it. So they're way behind on their reassessment. And if they don't get that done by the end of the year, it doesn't go into our certified assessed value, and that costs us, right?
No, they will actually wait to certify your rates and levies until that is certified.
So even if the county drags their feet on...
It's happened before.
Like we have all these lots being developed, and they go from agricultural assessment, which might be $7 for the lot, and when it gets developed and title transferred and so on, at some point it triggers a reassessment, and just the land value might jump to $85,000 from maybe $7 or $8 for that one lot. And if that isn't reassessed,
they've got to finish
and through that door.
Yeah.
So we get to wait on that and still sweep the dollars in.
Well, you won't sweep them yet, but what they'll do is they'll delay certifying tax rates, which could even delay tax bills. I don't know if you remember years ago that actually happened, where people did not get their assessments done in time. And
so would that be county by county?
Yes.
So our county's not done their cyclical reassessment, and that could penalize us?
Yeah, I don't know what percentage. There are a lot of counties that have not certified yet. Unfortunately, you're one of the counties that have not certified. There are a lot of counties that are certified. And so they were off a little bit. Technically, August 1st was the day they were supposed to certify. But with Senate Bill 1, it did add some complexity to the certification, and they had to get some new computer systems to handle the new credit. They needed to go back and reassess farm ground. So it did delay them, but Johnson County certified, Marion County certified, Hamilton County certified. Let's see, Clinton County, just some of the counties I work in. I'm trying to think. Montgomery County is not certified. So West Lafayette or Tippecanoe just got certified. So they're coming in, but they will hold the budget up until they get that assessment from the auditor's office.
Now, we did take a big chunk out of the general fund tonight, a bunch of projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to open it up for public comment, and then you can close, and we can move on to the libraries.
Okay, at this time, I'll open up a public hearing. Would anybody like to comment on the budget for the town? Okay, I'll close the public hearing.
The bottom line is tax rate's going to remain the same next year for us, about 0.51.
That is the plan at this point, unless we have something unforeseen that hits us, but I don't anticipate.
Well, that should help us towards getting our maximum growth appeal.
Yeah, if we
not raising the tax rate.
That will be a message we will send to them, is that we will use edit to manage the tax rate to be flat.
Next is ordinance 090925A. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, most of you know me. I am Ashton Bennett, the director of the Vernon Township Public Library. And most of the stuff Mike just talked to you about, we fall into the exact same situation. So you'll see that we're asking also for you to approve our maximum levy appeal along with yours here in the next items. And I believe he sent you our fiscal plan. If you have any questions, I wanted to provide a little bit of an update. We came to you last year, and we're doing the same thing this year to spend most of our cash balance down to open the McCordsville location of the library. So we are in working towards the next phases of the actual build out and plans, and we'll plan to use most of our cash balance this year that you approved last year into that build out. So we are on the second floor of the 9-Star building. Everything's still moving forward. We'll be working on the final touches with 9-Star. Their financial meeting was today. Everything passed okay. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to fill that in as well. We did officially send a letter to the township prior to me coming here. The library board had voted on the site building at the Vernon Township area. We did send a letter withdrawing that. Our focus will be the 9-Star building and moving forward with McCordsville as we have this growing community and we learn about all the things that we're going to need in terms of library services. So do you have any specific questions for me? I am happy to answer. Mike can also...
One thing different about the library budget than the town, there is no tax rate for the library. They are 100% funded with local option income tax. You calculate their budget as if they have a maximum levy, and they have to appeal just like you do. But when they get done with the calculation, they replace it all with local option income tax. So their appeal has no impact on the tax rate whatsoever. What it does is take a little bigger piece of the pie out of the library's portion. So this is a relatively new law, in that last year was the first year the fiscal body had to approve the appeal. You did approve it last year for them, and you're being requested to approve the growth appeal for the library for 2026 as well.
I wanted to just make sure I understood what I think you just said, that the new library is going to be built in McCordsville.
We'll be moving forward with, so our focus right now, because of our finances and the situation we're in and changes to Senate Bill 1, our focus right now, and I've met with Tim and sat down and talked through, our focus will be getting 9-Star up and running, and then future building projects will be discussed with the town and you guys, yeah.
Well, that'll be exciting to have library services in McCordsville.
Yes, we're, right now, it is fluid and very flexible, but right now we're on the plan looking at late first quarter next year, early second quarter for having the 9-Star space available.
Awesome.
Terrific.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And most of that furnishing that's going to go in there will be movable.
Right, it'll be
location.
mobile because our plan is that we know that space already, we've outgrown our current location, so that will remain open. So we'll have a Fortville location where we currently are. the new 9-star building as the McCordsville location. But we know even with those two spaces, we're going to need a larger space for a growing community. So our plan is that everything that we have in the new furnishings will be mobile that can go to another bigger building.
Excellent.
We think the story for the appeal for the library is a good story because we are opening a second location. We've attempted appeals before with them, and we've attempted special legislation, so they know the need. So I feel optimistic about the library's appeal.
Well, the Vernon Township Library is kind of different because of the Beverly Guard intervention years ago.
Yeah.
And how
Yes,
it's
our
funded.
special legislation.
Yeah, we have met with her as well, just to keep her up to speed of what's going on with the Vernon Township Library.
Our plan still remains the same. So I presented a couple of times to you guys, but immersive learning, basically everything we can't house that is a need in the current space will be here. So innovative technology, we will have collection of materials, unique items like box books, read-alongs, things that fit unique needs of our community, from sensory disorders to autism diagnosis to hearing impairments, just all these kind of unique materials that aren't seen in the rest of the county. So we did a lot of research on what wasn't available to residents, either with our reciprocal borrowing cards at Greenfield and Pendleton, or just wasn't even available in Fisher's area. And we've kind of mapped that out to be what we'll open here so that it's available in a draw. So we are moving forward to with Stan working on the Story Walk project. So that'll be in the trail between the 9-star building and the police department. So he's mapped out, I've got our quotes, we're ready to go. He's mapping out the locations of that permanent story walk, so that'll be coming. Our hope was to get it in for at least a month this year. We'll see how the weather does. But if not, it'll be opening in spring of next year. Any other questions I can help answer?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Great to hear.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Public.
Be a public hearing on
Yes.
their
Yep.
budget as well, too, so.
So at this time, I'll open up the public hearing on the library's budget, if anyone would like to speak. Okay, I will close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, next is resolution 090925, to approve the maximum levy growth appeal for the town of McCordsville.
I move we approve resolution 090925.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Burney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yeah.
John Price.
Yay.
And then next will be resolution 090925A, approving the maximum levy growth appeal for the Vernon Township Library.
I move we approve resolution 090925A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in, or I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Burney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
And that will pass 5-0. This will be resolution 090925B, title plan update.
Yeah, so kind of by default, we all kind of have these extra state required positions that we take on. Mine happens to be the ADA coordinator / Title VI coordinator. I haven't done a great job at that, just admit up front. So it hasn't been too big a deal up to now, but NDOT is really starting to crack down on those forms being up to date. And so the last time we updated our Title VI plan and policy was 2021. So it was time to do an update. So I have gone through and taken that form and essentially modernized it to our branding and updated things that didn't make sense. I will tell you there's some things in here. Title VI, first of all, has to do with acquiring, if you get federal dollars for NDOT projects, you have to have this in place to qualify. It has to do with fair wages and
Non-discrimination.
non-discrimination. Thank you.
Title
I'm really good at
on
this.
certain categories, protected categories.
So, so I've updated the plan. I will say it's probably not perfect, but it's better and up to date. And so we need to have this approved. The urgency to getting it approved right now is that we intend to file, to apply for money for the 900 North and 600 West roundabout. So this would need to be in place by then. It will come back to you because our intent that our new code enforcement employee actually takes on the ADA Title VI coordinator roles, since it kind of coincides with a lot of what they'll be doing. So, but they'll have to get up to. We got to hire them. They're interviewing this week. They have to get up to speed. You actually have to get certified by NDOT, and then so we'll update the references to who the coordinator is, so it'll have to come back. But for now, to have it in place, to be able to say we're current, I've taken the 2021 plan, added a few, went through it all. It's all, and added, actually our website helped us a little bit. We're more ADA compliant and able to translate everything through our website, so that's helpful as well. So, and some of the reference plans are actually under review by the federal government. So, some of the discrimination plans. So we left those links in there and references to them as required, but if you click on the link, it actually says under review by federal government. So that's the kind of basis for the Title VI. We'll work on the ADA compliance plan. Again, we're ahead of schedule some because we actually went and did all those ADA ramps ahead of schedule. So we've done some of the checklist things on the ADA plan, but we have a little bit more time on that. The Title VI was more urgent. So, you have anything to add?
I was surprised it didn't say creed, race, color, creed, or national origin. Why doesn't it? Is that different?
Title VI is honestly just the three categories. Now, as amended and cross-referenced into other statutes, they've added, so it's originally race, national origin, and gender, I believe.
Gender.
But it is expanded into age discrimination and
Income.
I think disability.
This
It doesn't even include all the, Title VI doesn't include all of the same Title VII categories.
Well, this doesn't mean that you can discriminate on those other grounds. It just means they're not included here.
Yeah, and this is contractors trying to get projects with us. So it's a different level. It's not like a Title VII. If somebody files a Title VII complaint, it means that they didn't have access to our government facilities based on one of those.
So how's this interface with a woman-owned business? Like it's 100% female ownership.
How does it?
Yeah, it doesn't say sex, but don't they have priority in bidding on some government
I believe
contracts?
gender is one of the categories.
Well, here it just says race, color, and national origin.
Is the original, right, so original 1964, those were the only three protected classes, but there have been subsequent federal
there's
statutes that have.
There's a whole bunch now. It's almost everybody's protected.
It's expanded, but interestingly, the Title VI does not cover all that Title VII does. Like, I believe Title VII covers pregnancy, military, and those are not yet included in VI.
We don't have a Title VII coordinator.
There is no Title VII coordinator. That's generally when you have employees who believe they've been discriminated against.
Beth,
Yeah,
for that.
through the EEOC. But it is interesting that the protected classes are different because it's both the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
I would have thought there'd be some amendment that would have added to the list. I guess not.
I referenced a lot of the Hancock County. They have a dedicated person on this, so their items are pretty recent. So
you can just cut and paste.
A lot of the forms and whatnot. I didn't reinvent the wheel.
Makes your job easier.
Save time. You're efficient. It's good.
Entertain a motion.
I move we approve Resolution 090925B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Birney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding, Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
Okay, that passes 5-0.
Makes sense of more entertaining stuff.
All right, next will be ordinance 090925C, an ordinance amending the Rockport PUD located along County Road 900 between 600 and 700.
This one is, there is representatives from my homes here. I did not ask them to prepare a presentation. This is literally the exact same thing that we discussed last month in regards to Helms Mills and 24-inch corner amendments. And you'll see the next item on the agenda is addressing the exact same thing with a few other neighborhoods. So this is simply rinse and repeat from Helms Mill last month. I'm happy to refresh any memories about that. But it's basically elimination of the 24-inch corner requirement as an option, and then it gives a list, a pick-from list of things to do in lieu of that. So language did not change at all from the Helms Mill, and that's all by design to keep all of this consistent.
Any discussion at all?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 090925C.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Brian Birney,
Yay?
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
And that passes 5-0. Next will be ordinance 090925D.
This is the exact same thing. Again, this is something that the staff spearheaded. So there are no representatives from Jacoby Farms up in the Ridge or Creeks up here. Again, we did not request them to be here. Staff is the petitioner on this petition, and the language is exactly the same as we just approved for Rockport, applying it to these three neighborhoods.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 090925D.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer, Brian Birney,
Yay. Yay. Sorry.
Yip, yip, yay.
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yay.
Assistant Town Manager report.
The only thing I have is just the monthly status reports, updated as per usual. I don't have anything necessarily to point out, I'll just provide a couple quick updates. We do anticipate Taco Bell opening either this week or next. They are down to just a few minor items that would qualify as items that are needed to issue a conditional certificate of occupancy. Nine Star Connects building is also very close. I would anticipate that release coming sometime this month here in September. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Notice that the roundabout down at 600 is coming along. It looks like maybe ahead of schedule.
Yeah, it's moving well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's, the last I heard, I think we're 1 week ahead of schedule, so it sounds, it's good. It's not as like shooting ahead as you would hope, but it's gonna hit, I believe it's the phase 4, which is the last MOT of traffic here in October. And when that happens, that's when we'll open up the 600 north legs onto it. They will essentially be right in, right outs until the final phase. The final phase is really the center island,
Sure.
the middle of the roundabout, which is why it's not allowed to cut through. But it's moving along.
Town Manager's report.
Well, as you can hear, I sound really healthy, so I'll try to get through this quick. Just a reminder, it's coming up, but next month's council meeting is a week later than normal. So it's the third Tuesday. That is due to Mount Vernon School's fall break. So October 21st, council meeting, and subsequently, Plan Commission and ARC have moved to the fourth week next month. So, and in November actually for both of those. So the next 2 months, everything's pushed back a week minus RDC, Public Works, and BZA. I just want to reemphasize, we had a Eagle Scout install a little library last Saturday at the old school park, and it's getting a lot of use, as is the park in general. We've been getting a lot of good press and a lot of good feedback on how much everybody loves that park. It's been packed nonstop since it opened, so kudos to everyone involved in that. It was a very long road, somewhat stressful a lot of the time, but the end product is really nice, and the public seems to really like it, so congratulations to everybody on that. We still just have a couple punch list items. There's some slide parts that are on order that will be delivered, but it's like an 8 to 10 week lead time, so that's coming. Also, congratulate Stan and Nikki and the whole park staff. First of all, it was really nice having a full park staff to run events, both at the 5K and at the party in the park. Everybody was happy to be there. It was nice having our full-time maintenance workers as well as our programmers, and we had volunteers from the Parks Board, and we had other volunteers that came. So we had a lot of help. Really didn't have much to do other than walk around, which was a nice change. And everything went really well. Weather was great, and our last few events have been really great. The concert was great the other night. 5K went really well, and Party in the Park went really well. We have our second to last Cars and Coffee Sunday. I think it starts at 8, 9? Is it 9?
It's 9. But
9.
People start
coming early. So Cars and Coffee is a great event. Gets a good draw on McCord Square. Highly recommend you go out and check that out. And then our next big event is Trunk or Treat, which will be at Outlook Church again in late October. So just a couple other notes. I forgot to mention last month that Nick Brown received his LTAP Road Builder certification. So congratulations to him. And we got Nick and Jonah at a stormwater conference right now this week. So continuing to invest in training, and we have a lot of these new requirements, and it's been some of these jobs that we've added, building maintenance and stormwater management, have been really needed and helpful positions this year, and I'm glad we put them in when we did, because there's a lot of work in those categories to do. So. And don't forget that it is Lord's Acre Fest this week. So we're rearranging some stuff at the community center. They'll be using that property, and we're excited. That's been going on for a long time in our community, and come out and support the Methodist Church.
Do we have a new police captain as yet?
Captain?
Yes.
It's in the budget for next year.
We don't have the position filled as yet.
We haven't even posted for it because it won't be until 2026.
I wasn't sure when it's going to happen.
So. There you go. We do have an officer that just got back from academy, though, so and one that went. So we're getting some new officers training, and I get to see them. It looks really exciting when you get back from academy. They're staring at maps and learning roads and understanding the town. So it's riveting. But
don't they have to take one of our cars now?
They do. They have to take one of our cars, and it's.
Did it come back intact?
So the new academy rules started this year, so e-bike is going to float our cars. In the past, they've always given car to drive to and from as part of their going back and forth to the academy, but now they have to actually do e-bike in it. So we have what we call a gently used vehicle that we send for that week. It's not the vehicle that they may be issued.
Gently used. I just want to reiterate as well, both this project and the community center are going really well. Charles Brandt's doing a great job. And they're moving as quick as possible, but I'd like to just say thank you to the staff for being as accommodating as they are. I know it's frustrating and loud, and they're doing the best they can to get through it. I'm gonna stop talking.
Okay, at this time, we'll take any counselor comments, anything that you guys want to discuss. Dr. Bernie, I'll start with you, sir.
Stephanie, I don't know if you got my email earlier about postal equipment, or had a chance to do that, or?
I did. I do know we do have two machines. We have a folder inserter and we have a postage machine. Not by Pitney Bowes. It's a company called NeoPost.
Is that something we pay like monthly on?
We do not. We just pay a maintenance on it currently. So preventative maintenance under a contract.
What I wanted to talk about tonight is, we're basically being told to enact a local income tax. As I look around for things that we can trim, tonight I want to talk about the United States Postal Service, which incredibly is raising the price of postage every 6 months for the next 3 years, on top of the increase that they just put in of 5%. So I would really like us to stop mailing with the USPS and find other ways to send out our bills, notify citizens, etc., other than Beth's certified mail, which I guess she has to send, and probably Ryan's certified mail. So other than certified letters that we need to use to deliver legal notice, I'd like to stop using postage in the town of McCordsville and switch to digital social media, website postings, walk-ins, whatever, but folding, collating, stuffing, sorting, taking to the post office in face of these massive postal increases from a service that is using our subsidies to deliver mail to unbelievable, difficult to reach places like American Samoa. Let's just stop doing it. Let's figure out how. And let's get rid of all of our postal equipment that's taking up space in our very expensive new quarters. Get rid of any leases that we have, and just stop spending money on postage. I am happy to participate in finding ways to do it. So I'm just calling to stop mailing with the USPS. That's all I have tonight.
Greg, anything from you?
Not at this time.
Chad?
Nope, I'm good.
Dr. Price?
Yeah, just real quick, I think Dr. Bernie and I met with the staff and we're talking about how to improve traffic along Oleo Mount Comfort Road. And we wanted to start a study to see if we could widen that and utilize the existing asphalt that's down on the road, from 1,000 North down to 800.
You want me to chime in on that?
Sure.
We actually had a lunch with A&F Engineering today and discussed the scope of that. So they're going to be working on a proposal, and you'll have it October 21st.
Great.
I drove on State Road 19 yesterday, and the lanes were 10 feet wide. And they were passing semis each direction on it. They seemed to do okay with it. I didn't get caught in between. But
All right, I'll take a motion to approve the vouchers.
so move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Greg Brewer,
Yay.
Ryan Burney,
Yay.
Chad Gooding,
Yay.
Scott Jones,
Yay.
John Price.
Yeah.
All right, our next meeting will be October 21st at 6 p.m. We're adjourned.
Good job.